One thing that we love doing on these webinars, something special that we enjoy doing, if you're able to join us for the whole webinar, we will be doing a gift card giveaway at the end for those of you that are here. So if you're able to, hold on for that, and we'll get started. So I'm Will, Director of Design here at Viewrail, and about 2 years ago, I landed my dream job, which is my current role here at Viewrail. And at the time, I was gushing about it to a friend of mine. And I was telling him all about it. And I was like, I get to be really creative. And this company is really visionary. Everything's made locally and these beautiful products. And I was going on. And I got all done. And he was like doing, and I was like, sorry, stairs and railing. And his face did this funny thing where all of a sudden he was like, and I was like, you don't understand. Stairs are cool. And honestly, I feel like instead of this deck that I'm about to walk through with you, I think there could just be one slide that just has big letters across it that says stairs are cool. So yeah, basically since then, that's become my mission and my mantra. Today, we're going to talk through a couple things. There are four big elements or four viewpoints that shape the impact of a stair on the surrounding space in a home. And we'll start by talking about that. We're also going to be taking a quick look at the sandbox of Viewrail finishes and options, giving you things to play with in your projects. We'll also be walking through three real-world examples of some really great projects we'd like to share. And then finally taking a peek at what's next with trends and innovation as we see it. We will be taking some questions at the end, but anytime throughout this presentation, doesn't matter when, you're welcome to add your questions. You can add them to the little Q&A chat at the bottom, not the regular chat, but the Q&A tab. And if something pops in your head, feel free to drop it in there. We will be taking a look at those at the end. The first viewpoint is harmony. I feel like a default setting is to think of stairs as an extension of the floor, and there's so much more than that. There are very few elements in a home with so much potential to pull all those different materials and colors together. Instead of focusing on matching, I really like to stress harmony and balance. And I always say, like, maybe the other element would be a kitchen in a home, but with stairs, it's really like this mixed material moment. Stairs are bringing together metal, glass, wood, different colors, different finishes, and can either blend with those elements in a home or can accent. And I've actually been asked on numerous occasions, what is the correct thing that I should be matching my stairs to? And I always lose my mind a little bit because I'm like, there is the correct thing. It's whatever's right for your project. So we're really looking for harmony versus matching. And there's so much opportunity to play with that in a home. Another example of it would be like maybe there's something that appears in a small touch in an adjacent space, and we really play it up in the stair system. The second element that we have is scale and dimension. I feel like stairs are some of the most under-leveraged square footage in a modern home. And interestingly enough, like stairs touch floor, wall, and ceiling in one move, and it brings it all together. There really aren't a lot of other elements in a home like that. I always say that the underside of a tread is a special space that we don't really play with enough. We tend to think of stairs as being something where we're looking like top down on them. And for a lot of these homes, if there's a large stair system that's kind of winding its way through, you're really looking up at the stair more than you are looking down on them. I keep hoping if I say this often enough, someone will try this, but I want to see like a mirrored underside of a tread, because as you look up, if there's a feature wall, that mirrored underside would really reflect your feature wall and kind of play with space and scale and dimension in an interesting way. I also say I want to be a little confused where the stairs start and stop. I want to see plinths, wall materials wrapping onto platforms. I want to see tread materials mirrored on walls or mirrored up on ceilings. We never want it to look like we just copy pasted a stair system into the home. And I think sometimes we see the complexity of a stair can kind of hit this level of overwhelm or decision fatigue. And maybe the clients, they can't vision it. It's hard to sell it. And it's easy to just kind of do something that feels safe instead of really playing with it in the home. Another thing we always say, like, roofs will get replaced, kitchens get replaced, counters get switched out, but stairs are really something you want to live and stay in a home for a really long period of time. So we want to do it right. Our third aspect is light and space, which of course, main beauty of floating stairs, really playing with that light and space. This home that this picture was taken at, I was here and we were here for a period of time through the day. I think this one's a really great example. So that huge window there, this home is in the Hamptons. As the sun position was changing, this is south facing. It was really interesting because these really dynamic shadows and kind of like beams of light shifted and changed as the sun changed. And all of a sudden, it hit me. This is we say sculptural stair. It literally was a sculptural piece that had this dynamic aspect to it. Kind of unusual for elements in a home. They don't usually interact with light and space in that kind of way. Also say that with clean lines and light and space, we can also play with a blend of classic or transitional elements. Modern design and floating stairs, it doesn't have to necessarily live in just strictly modern spaces. There's some just really great examples where you see this like juxtaposition of clean lines, maybe in a historic space, and you're really playing with light and space, and it isn't all just modern necessarily. Fourth would be portal. Stairs are a really interesting thing because there's very few building components that create movement between two experiences or two rooms, two areas of a home. You enter with one view, and then at the end of the stair, you're in another. This isn't really something I see played with very much. The stairs are a gateway. It's like an element of surprise. I feel like this is something that could be sort of like you round the last turn of the stair and it kind of opens up into something unexpected or transformational. Feel like it could be very, very impactful in a space. When we think portal, just the shape of a portal also kind of makes you think of our spiral system, which is a really fun system. Each of the elements that we just talked through come to life through a lot of small design decisions. And these homes that we work in, that's our whole world, right? So our goal is to give you a really great sandbox of solutions and materials so that we can make this vision come to life. We have a huge advantage that we feel really passionate about and we love is that pretty much everything is made in-house here on campus by our team. And so our ability to see something, to adjust, to innovate, wood, metal, glass, producing all of it is just really great and really fun. When we're going from this concept or figuring out which elements we really want to play with in a space, and then we're turning that, maybe we've settled where we want to go and we're working on turning it to reality. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the structural system that's right for the project. Beyond like obvious aesthetic differences, there's kind of this like form and function balance where some of these systems are going to have advantages and disadvantages depending on what we're looking for. So a mono system has the advantage of very few attachment points. So it's really more that like truly floating system, but it has a more visible structure, which may or may not be what we're playing into. Cantilever system, cleaner lines, but needs to have a wall beside it to house the integrated structural support of the system. So that's something that's really key as we look at these is which structure is going to play into those big design viewpoints that we want to come to life in the home. Railing, also big impact on the design and functionality of a stair. One thing I want to call out specifically, this middle picture is our 1/4-inch rod railing. I think this is a really clean look for a person that wants those really clean lines, but maybe doesn't want glass for whatever reason. Maybe they don't want to clean it or worried about fingerprints. On the other hand, those that really want that ultimate and clean lines, there's glass. We love that. Really lets the light through and emphasizes those lines. One thing that we've been working on is subtle tint or detail in the glass. We've done so with a light amber tint that you'll see later here in the presentation. So even with glass, even if we're really doing those clean lines, we can play with the glass as a little bit of a design element to bring that harmony in to the space. And as far as glass goes, we have so many different types of glass mounting styles. Once again, which of those elements do we want to play with in this? We have a couple of them here. This has a huge impact on the overall aesthetic and design of the project. Some are a little more utilitarian, like a Talon, or maybe a pin would be somewhere in the middle. Some are really, really clean, like the hidden side mount glass shown in the middle picture. And that's something that obviously we're going to help you. We can talk through those things to help figure out what's best for the project. Early last year, we did what we called a color audit. We added a large number of color options to our standard finishes, both in wood and in metal. And I always say, no two stairs should ever be alike, right? Like we're not copy pasting anything. But like we looked at the core of the stair system is going to use one of our 5 engineered structural systems. The skin of the system, the skin of the product, colors, finishes, infill, details, that's that perfect combination, uniquely selected, created by you. And we really needed the color palette to be able to do that. A little fun fact, our colors were very inspired by nature. And so all these colors were based off of natural hues from nature, inspired by natural landscapes and locations, and then that informed our color collections. This gives you a little glimpse of the range of colors that are in our standard finishes. As you play with color, you'll see that it drastically changes the appearance of our structural systems. So for instance, on a mono system, light colored stringer creates a feeling of like lightness and airiness, and dark ones would emphasize kind of that strength and frame of view. Another thing, when we say standard finishes, this means there's no upcharge or cost differences between these standard options. We really want you to play with this because we know that that's going to really impact how your project turns out. We want you to be able to play with these colors and not worry that those budget numbers are jumping up and down with those different color selections. We send out a lot of samples. Glad to get these to you if there's anything that you'd like to see. We also do, if you're not finding what you're looking for, we also create custom hues for both wood and metal. Naturally, that does add lead time to the project, but if that's something, if you have a project that really needs that, we can absolutely do that as well. We talked about lighting. Role that light plays in floating stairs is huge. Our goal is, because we're designing with lighting in mind, you don't need to worry about like compatibility or sourcing things from different places and worrying that they're not going to work well together. I feel like a stair at night is very different than a stair during the day. It's almost like the entire space changes. And I feel like that's where LED is really fun. Even from like a hospitality standpoint, guests moving around on a stair at night lit is just a very different, it's just a different feel than moving through the same stairway during the day. So LED really shines in that case. We do have really great integrated LED options for handrail, cap rail, and then of course treads as well. Many of you work on commercial projects. I always say we tend to put our residential stuff out there a little bit more, maybe a little more leeway there, or maybe it's a little more fun, but really anything we can do for residential, we can do for commercial. And we have a lot of solutions. You might not necessarily find all of them on the website, but it may be something we've already solved for someone else, and we can help you figure that out for yours. We have a really great commercial team, and we're glad to answer any questions that you might have. If I could see your faces, I'd be checking in right now, making sure everybody was awake and feeling good. I know we're throwing a lot at you. We're covering a lot. I wish I had time to sit down with you and see what projects you're working on. I always love seeing that. Reminder that if you haven't already, welcome to add your questions to the Q&A tab at the bottom. It says Q&A on it. We'll be taking a look at that soon. Let's walk through a couple different projects. We got some fun ones to show you. Each one has a little different aesthetic, a little different design inspiration, and you can see how they leverage those different design aspects that we talked about at the beginning, and our sandbox of options. For this project, really beautiful stack system. Goal of the project was sculptural stair. I feel like this one really shows off that like sculptural aspect. Really creates this hero moment. What I love is it's simultaneously like blended into the home on the 2 side walls. It's also floating. So it's floating off the back wall. So the stack system was perfect for that because the stack system is able to float, has its own internal structure. Also a big fan of the planter underneath. I feel like the nature sort of juxtaposition of natural element, clean lines, just really works in this space. It's really beautiful. As you look through a little closer detail here, I feel like it plays with all four of those design elements. You see harmony, you see scale, light, probably some aspect of portal as well. Glass infill, in this case with a stack system, floods the space with light, plays with light, but also glass helps serve as some additional structural element of the stack system. This wood is kind of a cerused warm wood, which really plays off of those kind of softened materials in this home. For this project, I'd say really the view is the hero, and the stairs are really playing off of that. I love the really strong diagonal lines that kind of slash across the otherwise linear lines of the space. Love the placement of the light fixture, and in this one, especially when you look at other photos from this project, you really see that harmony. Even just like the subtle warmth of the handrail and some of the details of the lighting really works well together. When you look closer, mono was perfect for this one because you can see we have so much floating. That's, we don't want to be anchoring, interfering with the windows. We really want to be floating off of that. Mono allows us to just be anchored to the wall at those like platform and landing connections. Love the warm palette. And then with this, the black stringer really plays up that structural element. And you can see that the black kind of plays off of some of the other little elements of the home. This one, technically, because it's mono system, it could have been cable or rod railing, but it would have really messed up with the lines. So love the clean glass on this one. This last home, special project, this was the feature stair in the New American Home 2025. It debuted at the International Builders Show. Some of you may have had a chance to see this. Let us know in the chat if you did. It's in the foothills overlooking Las Vegas, just a gorgeous location. The home itself had crazy features. Everybody was having fun showing off with it. It was just incredible. There was a 2-level wine cellar with a glass floor. The whole back of the home was glass panels that retracted for views of the valley below. And what we really wanted to do with this one, the inspiration was lines and color palette of the surrounding desert landscape and cliffs. And so we were really playing off of that. For the placement of it, there were walls on both sides, which worked really well with cantilever, and then really wanted to clean it up. And so like as the sun moves throughout the day, you really get these really interesting light and shadow. The color of the glass was new. This was that light amber glass I talked about earlier. And so when the light hits it, it really casts these like warm, golden kind of light display on the walls on the side, which really tied into the creative direction of that. This one also really plays into portal because in the evening, as the lights become more apparent, those LED lights are like this glow that bring you up to the second floor entertainment area. Let's talk a little bit about future of stair design. As we know, design is constantly shifting. Might be a little maddening, and it's also invigorating. It keeps us on our toes. We feel really passionate here at Viewrail about figuring out what's next. We never want to settle. It's like the innovations of today. Once it's tomorrow, we're ready for the next thing. I'm going to show you a few things that we're really inspired about right now. Like I said earlier, we're able to prototype really quickly, and so because of that, we're always testing. When I see what's happening right now in the market, I sense a couple different forces, and would love to hear your all thoughts on this. I see people that are craving something special, really like one of a kind, something unique, something sculptural. I'm seeing some of the maybe we're getting tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. We want something unique, but I'm also seeing this move towards serenity and really wanting the home to be a restful place. Maybe it's like the world around us is kind of crazy. In our homes, we want something that feels restful, and that's where you see like these organic, softened lines. Couple things that we're doing a lot with. We're playing with modern interpretations of classic elements. These can work really well in like a transitional space. So things like a reinvention of a baluster. What does that look like? what would sort of modernized classic elements in a modern stair. What does that look like? Texture forward finishes. Love the idea of like ceramic, like very, very matte metal finishes, authentic patina. And then also playing into those like softened shapes. So maybe like a stringer with more of a radius on it, or twisted spines or organic curves. But the biggest thing is our innovation is driven by your requests. So your requests fuel what we're developing. So if you see something that we're missing, if there's something that you're really needing for a project, let's chat. We want to hear about it. We can take a look at the inspiration. We can work together to see if there's a doable way, or maybe it's something that we've solved before, and we could work that into the project. So love to hear about it. Like I tell people, we love stairs. Stairs are cool. Help us make it better. So thank you. Wish I could be seeing all your lovely faces, but we love to talk stairs, love a good challenge, bring us your inspiration. And at this point, we're going to move into the Q&A portion. I'm going to hand things over to Jackie to help lead our Q&A session, and I will scoot over so Jackie can join me. Jackie is our Director of Product and has been with Viewrail for 10 years.
It has been a wild ride being a part of Viewrail. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining our webinar and listening to Will talk about all of the exciting things that we have going on here. We have a bunch of Q&A questions that we would love to talk about. So we will just start rolling through these. First off, what pre-installation structural setup is required to make the site ready for install? So we really like to get into the project as early as possible. We can always work with the project wherever it's at, but when we can get in early on, we want to make sure that we can get in while it's in the framing stage, ideally. So as far as what the structural setup is, that kind of depends on the different stair systems that we're looking at. We're usually recommending for header connections, double LVL or triple 2x for those connections. But depending on cantilever, mono, we kind of have different things there. So you can reach out to us for specific details on that, and we can send you over those specifics. We would go ahead.
Well, I was going to say too, like, our goal is to like be an extension of your team. So we're not just like, here's a stair, enjoy. Like we really we want to partner with you on it. And I think that ties, like, I think we've done a really, really great job of that, of depending on the system, the complexity of the project, there could be kind of different answers for that.
Absolutely. And depending on the construction methods that you're using on the job site as well. So we have solutions into concrete, steel, wood. Pretty much if you can build it, we can find a way to get connected to the system that you've got and what you're doing on the job site. A couple more questions here. Am I to understand that you are also supplying the stairs as well as the rails? This is a great question because we get this one all the time. One of the things that we actually started as way back as like a trim and door company. And we like made some trim and made some doors, and then had a customer that came along and really wanted the stairs to match the trim and the doors. And so we got into stairs as far as like treads were concerned. And then we got into railings. And then we realized what the customer really needs on a lot of these projects is that full service design solution. So we want to offer that full package. While we're not doing doors anymore today, we are doing some trim, but not a lot. We are offering flooring, stairs, and railings, all designed and engineered to fit together. So that way the colors are seamless from the floor to the stair treads, and all of the systems are engineered together so that everything is really, really just a really incredible fit. A lot of times what happens and what we see on a lot of job sites is they get the steel from one fabricator, and then you bring in a wood guy that's trying to wrap that steel and it doesn't ever quite fit and the steel wasn't quite right. So it's the steel guy's fault. And then the glass team comes in and they're trying to retrofit the wood treads that didn't really fit the steel, and the whole thing ends up being a little less than desired. Like, we see a lot of beautiful things out there, but it could always be better if the fit and finish was a little bit better. So as we have continued to grow as a company, we want to always make sure that we are providing the best fit and finish and a start to finish full setup for the stairs and the railing.
Yeah.
I think this one's talking about one of the specific photos. What is the material on the second column bottom image? Can we scroll back into some of those photos?
Let's see.
Is that possible?
Yeah, make sure I'm not messing something up here. Well, I don't know which slide this was. Love the question.
Most likely the material is going to be steel for any of our structural elements that are visible, with a powder coated finish. Now, we could wrap those in a lot of different things. So we could wrap them with a wood wrap to give it a really nice wood finish. We could do like a Venetian plaster to give it kind of that more organic finish. So it's a little bit like, if you can dream it, we can build it kind of thing. In as much as we are manufacturing tons and tons of these products locally here in Northern Indiana all day long, we are also able to meet that kind of custom project request as well. So we have a whole team that's doing standard products all day long, and a whole team that's doing kind of custom or one-off or really, really bespoke kind of experiences. We do limit the number of bespoke things we want to take on because we want to make sure we're going to do a really good job on those. But we really can meet kind of whatever you're thinking as far as materials on that.
Yeah. And like, back to the thing of dreaming, like if you're seeing something in your head and you're like, can this be done? Like, let's chat about it. Let's figure it out. It may be something we've already solved, or we can talk that through. These are great questions. Love this. I can talk about this one. Can the system be delivered untreated, so that we can match on site? That's something that we run into sometimes. I mean, the answer is yes. There are advantages to, I feel like what would be more common would be us having our stain department match something or create something that's harmonious to something that you have. So you're sending us a sample and then we're matching it, because I feel like the level of quality of finish of what we can create in-house in a controlled environment tends to just beat on-site finishing. But unfinished is a possibility.
Yeah, we can absolutely do unfinished. We do, again, like to finish that in-house. It also puts a seal kind of on that wood product before we ship it, which reduces some of that acclimation and climatization over the course of the product. Somebody asked us to send them some finish samples. We can absolutely send you guys wood samples, powder coat samples, those different things. You can request those either through our website, or you can reach out to us via phone or a quote request form, and we'll be able to get all of those things out to you. Someone asked about exterior cement decking that needs a glow up. So we are currently not in the exterior cement decking providership, I would say, but we can absolutely pair our products with cement decking. So we would find out what kind of connection requirements. We have a professional engineer on our team as well. So he's able to really give us a lot of details when it comes to structural attachment and making sure that everything's going to be safe. So we would probably bring him in on some of those special type of connections to make sure that we're going to be giving you guys the details that you need on that. But we've done lots of different into concrete applications with railings, with our stair systems. We're getting ready to do a cantilever on a cantilever system where the treads are going to be coming right out of a concrete wall. So that's pretty exciting. That's going to be up in the Pacific Northwest. So shout out to anybody up in Washington, Oregon, Idaho. We're pretty excited about that project coming up.
Let's see what else we have. This is a good one. Do you want to take that one?
Are site visits required, or can the whole process be done virtually through 3D modeling and simulations? If so, what design package do you use to transfer data files back and forth? That's a great question. So we have gone back and forth in different ways on how we wanted to get measurements. We've tried measurement worksheets. We've had in-field people. We've had people that you could hire to come do your measurements. I think we've tried every variety of getting measurements. And where we're at right now is using LiDAR scanning technology. So we would send somebody out to the job site to do a full scan of the space. And then we're going to use that file to engineer and essentially insert a digital twin, use that as a digital twin. And we're going to do all of the engineering of the staircase like live to some degree in that scan, so that we know it's going to fit and we can have the best opportunity to really understand the environment. So we would be scanning that in that framing stage, and then coming back out and doing a scan. How we typically like to do a new build would be to bring the steel out in that framing stage. That kind of establishes where the stair is going to go. And then we want to wait till almost the end of that build to bring all of that final finish stuff in there. So the treads, the rails, nobody wants to pay for a tread that somebody globs a big glob of drywall mud onto, because that, like when I get to a job site and they're sanding drywall over a finished wood tread, it just makes me cringe with all of that drywall dust sitting on there. So we want to bring those finishes in as late as possible to get the best experience out of those. Contact details for yourself, Will? Somebody asked for contact details.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Jackie at viewrail.com. You can email me anytime.
I'm will.johnson@viewrail.com.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this one. Okay. Let me think about this one. So this is a really great design question. Always love a good design question. A classical problem of creative ideas for dead space under and around stairs. Liked the hardscape Zen garden idea shown earlier, but thinking more functional use of space. That's a great one.
I have some bad ideas that I've seen people use.
Like we're like red X, like don't ever, is that never going with
so many
this?
completed projects come back with, and like the only thing under in that space is like a dog bed, which like I'm all for. I think I have a dog, but like there's so much more beautiful things you can do than just like tuck your dog bed under your stairs. We've done quite a few projects where like there'll be wine storage underneath. So that I think always is really beautiful and really interesting. We have one project we did that kind of has a little bit of that Zen garden, like it's a large plinth and there's like a motorcycle that is mounted underneath it. So that's super interesting. Lots of extend out some treads and use them as some floating shelf kind of things that are interesting. Putting some like extensions out and putting some seating underneath is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you may have seen.
Definitely think of that one. And I think I've even seen some great stuff where floating doesn't have to mean the whole thing is floating, right? Like there may be some element of it, like it begins sort of anchored and you're using part of it, but then just a portion of it's floating, and that's where like light and space is coming through, but you've narrowed it down so it isn't the whole entire run. I think that would be another thing. I think there is a sense where like floating stairs they're a thing of themselves, or it's almost like storage plus floating stair. You're like, wait, that doesn't go together, but I think it could. I love the seating thing, and I think there could be something. We had a really great project where the floating stair was actually in the kitchen. Like it was a really interesting design, which normally you're like entryway, living room, whatever, but it was in the kitchen. I think it may have been a second stair. So we're really kind of asking some of these same questions that we're like, what do we do with this under the kitchen? And I think it was going to be some combination of like built-in seating, banquet situation, which is fun. So yeah, love it.
Lots of interesting things that we can do there. Let me make sure we didn't miss any up here.
There's a couple of great questions about just wondering like cost differences of different systems and understanding like quotes and stuff. Jackie, that's more you than me, but I think there's a sense of like every single stair is different, and we want to really help make sure we have the right information for it. So
if we were to think kind of in like a product ladder, are we have some express railing products that are kind of off the shelf, in stock kind of products that we can ship out on a very, very short lead time, with a limited amount of finishes. So it comes in like a surface mounted cable railing, a side mounted cable railing, and black, silver, and white. So that's kind of like our like $1 sign kind of thing. And then we have a more of a signature cable line that's a little more customizable. Rod railing, which is excellent, excellent, excellent. If you are in a coastal location, I would recommend rod railing every time because it keeps that same real slim profile as cable, but the maintenance is just so, so low. So rod railing, great, great replacement for cable, excellent on the coast. Glass railing. And then on our stairs, kind of how that product ladder would go, mono being our kind of base flagship products. And then we've got like stack, cantilever, spiral, duo. I can't even think of all of the other ones.
Curves, though.
Yeah, and it kind of just builds
yeah.
up from that flight mono system. So lots of options there. And then you have all those upgrades on. You can pick more exclusive wood species, or you can add LEDs, or all of the railings for the most part mix and match with all of the stairs as well. So if you really want the look of a floating stair, but you can't afford the beauty of glass, you could go with a cable railing system, or you could take all of our glass and put it on a built stair to be able to afford kind of that glass look. So there's lots of options for kind of reaching every price point with an option both in the stairs and railing category.
I think words like value engineering, both strike fear and get a bad rap sometimes, but like every project, no matter how, no matter the like epic level or whatever, there's always some measure of value engineering that's done, because it's like, we can't, to what extent are we going to drop it on windows? To what extent are we going to play with stairs? And so the biggest thing is like, we just want to help you right size it for whatever the project is. And that may mean, I've seen some projects where we really poured it all in on the stairs, and then on the railing went with a little simpler system, because it was like, I don't know that has a big impact on where we're going with the design here. So the option is sort of,
same thing with wood species. We all know that white oak is super, super hot right now, but it can be really expensive, especially when you're talking about, big stair treads or flooring, or, many, many feet of railing. We can go down to something like a heart hickory, which has a similar grain pattern for a little bit less cost. Or if you're putting a dark stain on it, switching to a red oak, which is going to cover a lot of that stain, still show the beauty of an oak grain, and then you're able to save on some cost there as well.
It reminds me of the smoked oak finish we had that we showed at the show, and I had so many people like automatically presume it was white oak, and you're like, it's red oak, but it looks incredible. And so like maybe on a project, it doesn't always have to be white oak, although white oak's never going away. We love white oak. It's amazing, but there are other options too.
So apart from wood finishes, which wood species would you usually use for treads? Kind of liaisoning to that one. Pretty much we are seeing across the board most of the time white oak, hickory being a second, hard maple probably, and hickory being very similar. We are still seeing some ash. Ash is a nice wood option. Obviously, it depends on where you're located in the whole emerald ash borer thing. That's probably our domestic hardwoods. I know there's one that I'm leaving out of that stack. Red oak, white oak, hard maple, hickory, ash are probably our standards there. And then when you kind of get into those premium woods, like walnut, we don't see as much Brazilian cherry as we used to. We have some African mahogany that we occasionally do, but really that white oak takes most of the market.
I think heart hickory, I want to talk about heart hickory for a second, because I feel like the Viewrail approach for heart hickory is really unusual. Like I'm not seeing this, a lot of people doing this. When you cut and select that heart, and especially if you have like a warmer sort of like walnut toned, it looks like walnut and it wears incredibly well. So back to the like sandbox of options, I think it's easy to just sort of presume something. You're like, oh, if we want to play with something, there's a lot of options.
Do you recommend monolithic or laminated glass for residential jobs in California? That's a really great question. California and some other specific municipalities have pretty strong code requirements around laminated glass. So we are always going to recommend laminated glass. Now, there are some, so global California code, right, says glass must be laminated. There are some parts of California where we hear from customers that say like that's not enforced in their local municipality. We do give the customer the ability to buy what they want and what they need. We will always tell them what we know about their code requirements. But ultimately the customer is responsible for meeting that code requirement. We're going to tell them what is code. We're going to probably make you sign a waiver if you want something that is outside of what we know about code in your area. But there are some municipalities that aren't as stringent in that requirement across the board. But I do think probably over the next several years, we will see more and more municipalities requiring laminated glass. So anything we can do in the industry to start preparing people for that shift, because it is more expensive because it's double the process time. You have to temper 2 pieces of glass and also laminate them together for that process. So it is more expensive. Next question, is the exterior glass that you use self-cleaning? So it is not self-cleaning. I've read about self-cleaning glass where it's like the UV rays break down. Have you heard about this?
I have not
Isn't
heard
that
about
wild?
this.
Like
Wow.
the UV rays like break down the smudges on the glass. Ours does not do that, but you can opt for a hydrophobic coating.
Yeah.
So think like a Rain-X kind of deal. Hydrophobic coating that makes it really, really easy to clean the glass. So whether that's you're hosing it down from the ground looking up to a second floor, or cleaning it manually with your hands and some Windex, that coating makes everything kind of just shed off really, really easily. So it's a really nice option.
So really great question about LED, which would be more you than me. Yeah.
In the cantilever system, is the LED all tied in for all the stairs? Just trying to understand if electrical is needed on the lower, upper, or is it tied into the wall? That is a great question. We can so all of our stair systems that have LEDs have a wire harness, and then each tread individually connects to the wire harness. So you've got the tread connects to the wire harness. Wire harness can then be attached to the home electrical, either at the top, the bottom, or if there's a mid landing, it can connect in the mid landing. So we're going to engineer and build that to meet the electrical where you need it. So you need to tell us where you want that electrical connection to be. Let's see what else we've got here.
What's one about design process and length of time? We haven't really talked about like lead time, length of time. There's a lot of different answers to that question.
So we have that's a really good question. We have manufacturing lead times that are standard, and we know exactly how long that's going to take. And that usually is manufacturing. We're usually getting that done in and delivered from the start of manufacturing to delivery in something like 5 to 7 weeks, depending on the product mix. The design phase can take as quick or as long as the responsiveness of the job site, essentially. So we're going to send somebody out to scan it, and then we're going to do the engineering. Engineering usually takes about 5 days. Then we're going to send all of that out for approval and review. And the faster that someone is responsive on those approvals, the faster we can get that into production. Most of our jobs are probably taking probably 12 weeks, I would say, but we can do it in a much shorter time if the job site is ready and responsive. And it can also take much longer if, a lot of times we start talking to clients very early on, maybe even before they've broken ground, and it could be like 3 years until they're ready for the stair system. So we can go fast when the job site is ready to go fast, or we can kind of just hold your hand along the way while you're working through that build process.
I would say too, like for the more bespoke systems, that's where you really see like us coming in and like way early because we're really partnering together for this thing. And so, and one thing I haven't really mentioned, but like we have options like leather handrail, and there's some like really finessed finishes, and that's not the kind of thing you're rushing ever. Like these types of projects, that like talking through what the design impact is going to be. That's something that's happening earlier, and it's like those milestones of the project. Those are the early milestones. So we're not really into even close to production yet. Yeah.
Somebody asked, how is installation handled? How long does it take to install a 2-floor stair mono with glass railing? So I'm thinking 2 floors like first to second, so 1 floor to floor that needs to be traversed. The steel probably goes up in for a single floor to floor, like a whole day max. Like you can probably install that in a half day or less. Depending on the complexity. If it's like a U shape and you got a bunch of landings, or you're following a complex angled wall, that's going to make it a little more difficult. But a standard straight can be installed, the steel in the morning and then the treads and the glass in the afternoon. So really a 1-day install if it's pretty straightforward. The more railing, obviously, the more time it takes. But our certified installers that we have nationwide are really good. They've done a lot of these, especially in that mono category, so they're able to crank those out pretty quickly. So what is the price difference between clear and ultra clear glass? So one of the things that I really appreciate in the 10 years that I've worked here with Viewrail is we are always looking to provide products that are a step above expectation. So we actually don't even offer clear glass because we want to make sure that every home that we're putting, or every project that we're putting our products into, is getting the best of the best when it comes to the quality of the product. So we don't offer clear glass. We only offer ultra clear glass. And we're typically fairly competitive in that ultra clear glass market. Now, if you're just looking for clear glass and you go to your local glass supply, it's probably going to be less than ours, just because it's that clear versus ultra clear kind of designation.
And there's a great question about that.
Do you process your glass in-house? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. So we bring, there's only a couple of places nationwide that actually float glass and like take, like raw sand and silicate and turn it into glass panels. We bring in very large glass panels from those float plants, and we're doing all of our cutting, tempering, and laminating in-house. And that goes all the way back to wanting to provide that seamless experience. If we can control the production, we can control the outcome. So we try and produce almost everything, even down to, the little tension components in a cable system. We are going to be manufacturing those in-house so that we can control that experience from start to finish. So yes, we process all of our own glass. Do you want to talk about leather handrail?
Yep. Leather handrail. Got a great question on this. Other out of the box, like design things that we're working with. So we're constantly testing and R&D department's amazing. Something that we've been playing with is stone wrapped treads. It's something we get asked a lot. Working with some really great solutions on that, which is fun. It kind of opens up a whole nother universe. I'm seeing some really great like systems where there's a couple like natural stone feature stairs / plinths platforms, and then like a wooden system kind of heading up from there. I love that. That's not by any means to the point of like standard yet. I mean, that really is kind of getting into more of that bespoke side of what we do. But yeah, really playing with those. I know there's a really great felt.
Oh, yes.
How would you describe that?
So
I was just looking
like
at
a high density felt as a
substrate.
Yeah, essentially like a wrap. And we're using like taking the felt and we're impregnating it with like an epoxy resin to create a really durable surface. And I'm like super hopeful that it can be a great exterior product because it wears really well, great sustainable option, and the price point would be really competitive to get something that looks, it looks almost like stone. It's wild to see some of the things that our R&D department cranks out. And they'll just call you on a Tuesday and say, hey, like, you want to pop by and see this thing that I made? And it's incredible it's incredible to see what they're doing. They're trying this like idea around a staircase that looks like the top cap on the glass is like levitating, which is really wild. They showed us the first version. It wasn't quite there yet, but like there's something really
There's fun things
interesting.
happening.
Some cool things.
Reminds me
there.
of last year with the brass. There were some meetings where like we should do some stuff in raw brass because brass wasn't really something we'd played with. And the team was like, oh yeah, we can do it. And then I remember like 3 days later, I got an email saying like, hey, the brass prototypes are ready. And it's just like, that's that example of because we're able to develop these things in-house and make it in-house. It really speeds up that process, which is really fun.
A question about warranty. So when we think about our warranty, it's a little convoluted. I actually spent most of the morning trying to figure out a way to like better piece together our warranty, but right now it's between 1, 5, or 10 years, depending on the product mix. So if it's like a express product, which would be kind of that off the shelf, it's going to have a standard powder coat on it, and that's going to have a lower warranty than some of our premium powder coats. And then interior versus exterior has some different warranties when it comes to wood finishes. Structural warranty for all of our products is 10 years, which realistically, our products are going to be long lasting. I mean, they're made out of aluminum or stainless steel, so like they're not going to really break down over time. But we had to put some number on it. So we put a 10-year structural warranty on that. And unfinished products is kind of like those unfinished treads. That's a little bit of a gray area. Right now we don't have a warranty on that, but we're getting ready to extend a warranty over to those unfinished products, just because we like to control the environment around them. So when we just like send a piece of wood, it feels a little bit scary on the warranty side, but just because of climate and that kind of stuff. So we want to control as much of that as possible.
It's a really great question about tours. We are big fans of tours.
Yes. So we run, I think right now we're running every other month plant tours. We actually have, I think it's something like 400,000 square feet of manufacturing space. For all of we have a glass plant, a wood shop, metal shop, specialty products shop, an R&D shop, our HQ headquarters with all of our sales, project management, engineering teams. Our tour is super, super interesting. Something we didn't talk a lot about is we try and lean on automation as much as possible to create consistency. And we just have really incredible people running all of that manufacturing and here in our HQ as well. So we would love to have you reach out and come do a tour. I think we do a couple times a year. We do a larger event like Expo as well. So you can ask for some details on that as well. Can you describe the process for installation against the wall with the cantilever stair? So this is super interesting. So a lot of times when you think about a cantilever stair, you have to like open the wall up and like put in these giant steel beams, and it's super labor intensive. And if the wall is already built, it's a little bit of like start from scratch, rebuild the whole thing. So when we came out with our cantilever system, we really wanted to avoid that whole experience. The whole experience, especially if you're doing a remodel, like you don't want to rip the whole wall out just to rebuild it and put a bunch of steel in there. So our cantilever system is designed to mount to the face of the wall. So we're recommending 2x6 studs, or we can work with a 2x4. There's a little bit of limitations there, but we can talk about that if that's your project. So typically looking for a 2x6 framed wall. We're going to sister each side of those 2x6s with LVLs. And then we're taking steel plates, essentially. If this is your question, reach out and we can send you a bunch of diagrams on this. We're mounting steel plates right up against that wood structure of LVLs and studs, and then mounting a steel tread bracket onto that plate, and then wrapping that in wood to give that strength in the wall. So it's a super easy installation. It goes a lot faster than your typical cantilever and works really well on a 2x4 application as well.
We've done a lot of work on refining that too, which is really exciting. It's like it just gets better and better
Yeah.
So I'm getting a note that our time is up and it is time to do our little gift card thing. If I can move to our next slide.
And our handy assistant here, Jordan Hopkins, says that the gift card winner is Fawn Chang. Thanks so much, Fawn, for staying and asking us a bunch of good questions. If we didn't get your question answered, we'll make sure that those get taken care of and we get those answers back to you guys. Please, please, please reach out. Again, I'm Jackie at viewrail.com.
Will.johnson@viewrail.com.
And we would love to chat with you, or go to our website, give us a call. We love to connect and hear about your projects. Thanks, y'all.